Hi, Fleurette here with Inkon3. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Super excited to be at the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo Stamp and Technique virtual event. We're gonna do all kinds of fun stamping. We're gonna learn all kinds of new techniques using Inkon3 products. I'm gonna show you a little bit around the website. We're gonna make a card. So stick around, we'll have some fun, and I'll chat with you at the end as well, and I'll be chatting with you live too. So let's get our ink on. For today's project, we're going to use the Atelier Artist Grade Fusion inks along with our 3 essential inks, and we're going to start with the watercolor re-inkers. And this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to use the Koi Pond stamp set. It's a really great stamp set because it's super easy to color and also very easy to learn how to no-line color with. So the first ink I'm going to show you is the Fade Out No Line Coloring ink, and we're going to do some easy no-line coloring. I also want to talk a little bit about paper. I'm going to show you my favorite paper to watercolor with and do a lot of mixed media, and it's the Strathmore Mixed Media paper, and it has a vellum surface. I really like it because it works great for watercoloring, it's great for blending, and it's great for stamping. So it kind of takes some of the thought process out of trying to figure out which paper to use. Something to remember is if you are doing watercoloring, you do want to make sure to have a paper that will move and take water very well. Otherwise, you're going to struggle a little more. That's what's so great about this paper, is you can use it for so many different things. Here you can see I put a drop of each watercolor re-inker onto my tile, and look at how easily I am no-line watercoloring over those koi. So you can see the Fade Out ink is letting me just go right over all the details, because what the ink does, the Fade Out ink is going to grab the color that I put on top, and it's going to keep the details of the image as well. So all those little scales, you're going to have the orange scales, you're going to have yellow scales, you're going to have green scales, blue scales, purple scales. It really is magical and easy, so you can see I'm really coloring it effortlessly. I don't have to worry about sections drying and that sort of thing. So it really opens up no-line coloring for everyone. And these koi fish are one of the easiest places to start. So I'm just doing a simple rainbow color on all the fish. You can see I'm putting a little My Jam purple next to the peacock blue. All the colors were designed to blend beautifully together, taking all of the hard work out of trying to figure out what colors you can use together. I also wanted to mention that the Fade Out ink, it's named Fade Out, but it doesn't fade completely away. What it does is it absorbs the color. So even if you were to let this dry overnight, it's not going to disappear. You're still going to be able to color that image. You're going to be able to see those lines. And also, depending on your lighting, you can stamp it once, you can stamp it multiple times, and the formulation is going to work and do all of the things no matter how many times you stamp it. So you really can adjust it for your comfort level. And isn't it so cool to see now we started out with the Fade Out color, which is a completely neutral color. And the other amazing thing is we can use it with warm colors and cool colors, as you're seeing here. But the lines are going to become the color we lay on top. It's not going to contaminate the color we put on top. You will no longer see the actual Fade Out ink. It's going to become the red, the yellow, the orange. It truly is a magical ink and one of a kind. And I'm going to show you another technique after this that's really fun too. That's different from no-line coloring, but a really cool technique. You'll also notice that I'm able to continue to blend the Atelier inks. So if you have any like harsh water lines, if you use too much water in an area, you can even let that dry, come back later with a damp brush and blend that out. Also, when you're watercoloring, a lot of people have trouble or they're afraid of it, but one of the biggest problems most people have is they use too much water. So you want to look at your brush to have just a damp brush. It shouldn't be dripping with water. It should just be barely damp, and then the paints will move around. The inks will move around. I say paints because these paint like paint. They're buttery smooth even though they're an ink. So when you go to a crop or when you go to any kind of crafting event, you can take these with you and you can do all the things. It's really easy and really fun, And I know I keep saying that, but I really enjoy playing with these inks. It really is a lot of fun, and I love trying new techniques and experimenting with them. Look at those fish though. Aren't those so pretty? Look at that. They look like an artist painted them. It no longer looks like a stamped image. And I think you'll amaze your friends too with that. Atelier is also very forgiving, so you can just continue to work it over and over until you get it how you want it. And if you want to add darker shades, let it dry just a little bit and then add another layer on top. We're mainly doing one layer on these koi, and really that's all they need. But if you wanted to get more detailed with it and put a lot of depth and dimension, you could just continue to add color on top of color because the inks actually layer beautifully as well. So they're semi-opaque, which makes it really great for layering and other techniques. So you can use it in so many different ways. And also I wanted to say, I know I've mentioned that they're forgiving, but you can see here I actually went outside the lines a little bit. I was able to put a little bit of water down, grab my ink off cloth and dab it off because the inks are also water reactive. So what does water reactive let you do? You can actually lift color. So you can actually make cool backgrounds with it too, which we're going to do now. So this was the other technique I wanted to share with you with the Fade Out No Line Coloring Ink. If you want to kind of get used to how it works, here I just took a stamping block and a bunch of little tiny cute little stamps. I put them on there in a little arrangement and then stamped the Atelier all over this piece of cardstock. Now you can see a little bit of the color here, but I do have very bright lights. And here I'm just filling in some of the extra spots on there. And now we're going to see how the magic happens with even blending over the Fade Out No Line Coloring Ink. I'm going to start blending right over the Fade Out No Line Coloring Ink with the Atelier inks. I'm going to start with some Maryland Red, and I'm going to go in rainbow order. I wanted a really light color to these, so I used a blending brush. If you want a brighter, more vibrant color from the Atelier inks, you'll want to use a dauber. And that's what's really cool is I can get so many variations of color with the Atelier, and as we go along, when you see the koi fish with all the different inks, you're going to see the variation come alive. So here you can also see this is some magic with the Fade Out ink. Now at the top you'll see those little stamped images where I blended the Maryland Red. Those little images are becoming red, orange, yellow, and then we've got the goddess green and the peacock blue. Isn't that amazing? And then you'll see it a little later too. And here's where I show how it's water reactive. So I'm simply dropping some water onto my card. I'm going to take the ink off cloth and look at that, I lifted all the color. And if you had other colors underneath, those would show through. So you can keep layering and make all kinds of really fun backgrounds. But I also want to show, I'm going to put a little liquid pixie dust on there. I'm going to sprinkle it on, and it's giving us a little bit more dimension, and I just love to add some liquid pixie dust onto every card I make. And look at what that does. I wish it would show up better in camera. I put an ink off cloth on and kind of flattened them out so they dry a little faster, but look how shimmery that is. Oh, there you can see it a little bit, and look at that. Gorgeous! And that was so easy. Now we're going to move on to another technique. We're going to do a little embossing with the same koi using the Juicy Watermark Embossing Ink. And this ink is so great because it is juicy like the name. So it's really, really wet ink. It stays wet for a long time, so it's perfect for embossing. But it has a very firm pad. And what that does is it's really fantastic for detailed images. So these koi are perfect for this. So I just took an anti-static pad and rubbed that on my paper. I'm stamping down the koi, and one pass is going to do it because this ink is so juicy, even with all that detail. And you can see I stamped it one time. I'm going to pull it up. You can see a little bit here as I move it around, but as soon as I put the embossing powder on there, it's going to come alive. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to put our ultrafine embossing powder onto these koi. And it is very ultra fine, and when you heat set it, it's very smooth. So it's really fantastic for detailed images. And what you'll notice as we're going along, and this one is called Gold Rush, that all of our products were designed to pair beautifully together. So it really makes crafting a lot easier. And I'm a crafter just like you. So if I love it, that's the only way we continue in development on a product. That's why I spent 2 years making the atelier, because I kept saying, nope, we got to send it back to the chemist because it's not quite right yet. So when you get an Inkon 3 product, you know that a lot of thought and a lot of development and a lot of time went into it before we put it to market. Oh my gosh, look at that gold. I am always amazed by embossing. It's like magic. I love watching it. Now we're going to take some of the atelier inks from the watercolor inkers, and we're going to paint it onto the embossed koi. And it's a lot faster and a lot easier, and it can give a very different look. So it's really fun. That's what's great about our 3 essential inks, is you can literally do all the different things with the 3 essential base inks along with the atelier. And you'll notice when I watercolor, I always have an ink off cloth right by me. And what I use that for is sometimes to wipe off some of the color. I also use it to make sure my brush is not soaking wet. And it's really great cloth because it's very, very high quality microfiber. It has very deep teeth. And the other thing, it's purple. And what's great about the purple is even as it gets all inked up, it always looks awesome. But look at the koi. Isn't that amazing? And I'm going to show them all to you finished in just a bit. I'm going to show you our Blackout Detail Ink. Great for sentiments, Copic friendly, waterproof, and it dries instantly to the touch. So you're going to be less likely to smear anything. And I'm a messy crafter, and that's why I developed Blackout, because I wanted an ink that dried really fast that I could use with everything. It even is permanent on glass when you heat set it. Remember when I said how we make sure all of our products pair beautifully together? Well, one of the important things when you use fade out is you want to make sure you have a clean stamp. So we have an amazing stamp cleaner. It's called Ink Off, and it comes in a pad, so it's super convenient, easy to travel with, of course, when we can travel again. But you just wipe it off with your Ink Off cloth, you wipe off your ink, then you dab the Ink Off pad, and then you're going to take your ink off cloth and wipe that off. But look, even before I wipe it off again with the ink off cloth, it's already clean. Really easy. You can clean your blocks with it. You can clean your stamping positioner with it. You can clean everything. And as far as the ink off cloth, I actually have one that I use to clean my glasses and everything. I love that cloth so much. But the ink off cleaner is really amazing. You're going to be looking for stamps to clean. One thing I forgot to mention, it comes with a white pad. It will get discolored as you use it, but it will continue to keep working. So here I'm just showing you real quick all the different koi in all the 3 essential inks. So here we have the Fade Out No Line Coloring Ink with the Atelier, and then I put some liquid pixie dust on top. Didn't those turn out beautifully? And then I did the same coloring technique, but this with the Blackout ink. I stamped the koi, then I just took the Atelier inks and blended them right over. And here I'm showing you how you can use Copic markers with them as well. And here is the Juicy Embossing ink with the gold ultrafine embossing powder. Isn't that so elegant? So pretty. And I just love it. And you can see all the different looks and all the different things we can do. And so that's why we have the 3 essential inks. They're really the base inks to do all the things that you want to do in stamping. This is stamping technique, so I want to squeeze a few more techniques in. So I'm going to use a stencil for this next technique, and it's going to be really cool. So I took my cardstock and I'm just lining it up in the corner, and I'm going to tape it down onto the back of my stencil. The reason I'm lining it up in the corner is because after I put the paste on, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to put my stencil in a bucket of water or in the sink or wash it off so the paste doesn't dry on the stencil, because you want to get that off before it dries so it's a lot easier to remove. The stencils are great because they're really high quality and you can wash them really easily. So I just take it and I smooth the paste on really nicely and then put the extra back into my container. And now I'm going to peel it off. But because I put it in the corner, once this is dry, and you're going to see me line it up again, so I lined it up after it's dry, I'm going to retape it down, and now we're going to ink blend over the paste, and this is going to be so cool. So the reason we line it up is we want to keep those nice white lines under there, and then we're going to have the really pretty colors of the atelier on top. Isn't that so cool? I can't wait to show you this. And I'm also going to take liquid pixie dust, and I don't even have to wait for the atelier to dry. I'm just going to put liquid pixie dust over the top of that so that this textured paste, when it's all done, when I lift this up, we're going to have this beautiful rainbow texture, and it's glittery. Isn't that amazing? The other thing you'll notice is look how soft and pretty it is. And through this whole video, this whole live, I've used the same colored inks. So you'll see the koi, they're very vibrant on the Blackout ink, the way I painted them on. They're a lighter color, the way I painted them onto the fade out. So we're getting so many different looks. I'm going to show you how I assemble this card. Now this card is so beautiful, and I have to give a big shout out to creative team member Ilda, and you can check her out on our blog. There's a picture, and if you click on there you can see more of her work. I loved her card so much I wanted to remake it for you. Mine is slightly different, but it's really almost identical to hers. I just didn't have the same gold twine in that, but this card I just thought was so elegant. I couldn't wait to make it, and I couldn't wait to share it with you. So I just took a little vellum, put it on top of that textured paste piece that we did. Then I cut a little piece of cardstock and I heat embossed the word friend, hey friend, on there. And then I took a little of this gold thread and wrapped it under the koi. And I think that kind of looks like it's like a water ripple. And then I just trim it with some scissors to cut off the extra. And you can go to our blog as well and see another version of this same card. I think this card is so elegant. And the Hey and the Friend come from two other stamp sets that are really fantastic. The Hey comes from our Hey Gorgeous stamp set that has a gorgeous lady with a big floppy hat, and she's really fun to color as well. The Friend comes from our Heels to You stamp set that has a gorgeous high heel, kind of a pun on words or play on words. And it has a beautiful flower too. So that's another great stamp set to play with. But isn't this beautiful? I'm also going to show you what I did with the other koi. I made two other cards, and this one I used the background where we blended right over the fade out ink and got those cool images. And this is the other one with the Blackout ink, and I'll probably do some videos on our YouTube channel showing how I created the other two cards so you can see those step by step and how I assembled them and put them all together. So we have one card with the no line coloring, one card with embossing and stenciling, and another card with the Blackout ink, and I also use the stencil on that one as well. Now a little bit about our website, and then I'll be back to chat with you right after that. There's a lot of great information here, as well as tutorials and all of that, and there's categories at the top, and at the bottom right you can send me a message and ask me a question directly from the website. What's great about the website is there's so much information. You can see our new releases, all the different inks, re-inkers, as well as our digital products like our 3D paper projects that you can download and cut on your digital die cutting machines. We have digital papers and free digital files so you can give them a try, and we're always adding new ones as well. If you love crafty videos, we have an awesome YouTube channel, free to you, with all kinds of tutorials, step-by-step instructions, as well as an Instagram page with more inspiration and creativity. So you can always find something fun to look at. We also have a blog that has step-by-step instructions if you prefer blogging. You can see here we have all kinds of guest designers as well as our creative team. So there's so much fun and inspiration on our sites. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed all these tips, tricks, and techniques, and we'll give them a try. And check out our social media. We've got so much information. We have so many how-to videos, and even on the website you can go and you'll find all kinds of great information, how-tos, card examples. Check out our blog, Instagram, whatever your favorite social media is. We are on almost all the platforms. So thank you so much again. Oh, and don't forget to check out the sale for the show. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.